I look like I don't know what I'm talking about. So sometimes when I have discussions with a group that I'm going to see regularly, I'll introduce the idea of the straw man argument so that we don't go down that path. Because those are the things that I have heard. So you've heard informational text talked about several times now. And I was at a meeting recently with English language arts teachers who we talked about informational text, and they said, so we can never teach literature anymore. I have to throw away all my books, and there'll be no learning for life that goes on forever for my students. And I like to say at that point, okay, I am not going to argue the straw man's argument. You have to restate that question because no one said that that's what we were going to do. And that really slows the whole process down as we did. PE teachers, here's something I learned in a practical sense. When I did my Angst tour, Introduction to Common Core Standards in Park, I actually asked administrators if they could honor their art teachers, their PE teachers, their music teachers, and allow them to work on something else. I wanted to just talk to English, math, science, social studies, supporting special ed, English language arts. And we had a very, very productive discussion. If I included the other groups in the first discussion, I'd say, any questions? The hand would go up, PE, art usually. How does this affect me? There's no test for me. This isn't fair. How am I supposed to get merit pay? So figure out how that goes. It's not fair to me, there's no test. Math and English are ready to kill that. Like, oh, you don't have a test, oh, poor you, It was so now it turns into, well, the state hasn't come up with other portfolios, there's going to be other assessments for different, we're not talking about merit pay, completely off track. It's usually an after-school presentation to begin with, not my best learning opportunity, and it gets completely derailed, and we end up talking about something that has nothing to do with this. But when I had English, science, social studies, technology there, I could say this is the time where the real partnership occurs. This isn't just something about interdisciplinary activities. This is your responsibility now. And you see science teachers, I was a science teacher. You see science teachers going, I don't know how to teach reading. Okay, that's fine. Well, let's then work with some English language arts teachers and let's find some really starting points for how we can support that. So I'm warning everyone about the straw man argument, and you'll laugh the first time you hear a teacher say, so you're telling me that. So here's the 4 things I want to really talk about that have to do with things that you can do when you go back to your classroom. There now is a thing in New Jersey called Educator Leader Cadre. The Educator Leader Cadre is 24 educators that are on a team that are going to be trained by PARC. We'll talk a little bit more about PARC in really professional development activities that schools and teachers can do to bring up knowledge and understanding about the Common Core standards. So here's an important point right now. There is no Common Core in PARC. Common Core was a set of standards that have now been created. They're a physical document. You go to their website, it never changes. PARC now owns everything about Common Core. So PARC has all the money to support learning about it, has all the money to develop resources about the Common Core. So PARC is the Common Core. Now, they've already lost their brand because for most people, PARC is the test. That's just one thing that they're doing as far as their mandate. And this is the thing where the teachers, it's going to go away, it's going to disappear. They have $183 million to make this work. PARC was given $183 million in their budget. Smarter Balance, the most ridiculous name ever of an initiative. They're the other half of the country writing their test, and they got something like, I don't know why, they only got 178 million, but they got 178 million. So there's been over just under $400 million invested in this project. No state has ever had anywhere near that level of funding to develop a test and a program around that test. $183 million, we're going to have something in 2015. I don't know what it's going to be, but there will be something for that type of money. So the ELC is actually being funded by them. So I'm one of the educator leader cadre members, and I went to our first meeting in Chicago in July, met with half of the PARC consortium, so half of the states, and had our first round of training around this. I've been involved with the transition because I was on the PARC transition committee from New Jersey for the past year, watching this all develop. And that was an interesting committee because I was the only person that's even near the classroom. It was mostly DOE, some superintendents, some retired superintendents, some retired people. And I found it to be, kind of shocking that there weren't enough people that close to the classroom. The ELC has teachers, people from colleges, math specialists, some curriculum people, and principals, which I really think are going to be key. It's a very good group. 4 days in Chicago, and literally in the airport. We didn't even have to go out for air. We could go through a tunnel to get to the hotel where they had the conference. But I felt like we did learn a lot, and you're going to see information coming out from this committee into this year. It's a 4-year commitment on our part to be on this committee. There'll be 3 more meetings over the next 2 years and more work after that. I want to talk about raising the level of concern, which is kind of the stick part of getting teachers interested. I want to talk about some of the things you can do right now in the first year, and I want to talk a little bit about the expectation that these new standards will bring a change in pedagogy, which is going to freak out your high school teachers. Just that will look different in your classrooms. So these are my images. I have the educator leader cadre, I have my level of concern. Change is a big thing coming along, and what are the things that we can do? So there actually is an educator leader cadre. We were given access to a portal, and in that portal we will get resources and PowerPoints, which we will then make available to you. This was our first notebook that they gave us. I went to the math learning this time. I wanted to sit with the math as we looked at a new word. We looked at tasks. That's the new word. A task. So we looked at lessons or learning tasks that would help students to be supported to do a PARC task on a test. They kept saying, what you're seeing now is not an actual PARC task. This is a task that will support PARC tasks. Finally went up and said, enough, this is like really annoying. And they said it had something to do with the way their grant is written. They have to be very specific as to when they say this is an exemplar from the test or this is an activity that supports learning for the test. But I'm going to share with you some of the things that we learned that I thought were new to me, and I have really been spending the last 2 years looking at this set of curriculums in detail. Okay, I don't say, does anyone have any questions? I say, ask me a question. So someone has to ask me a question. Question, concern.
From an elementary perspective, how do you address the teachers who see the career, the readiness, they see all that wording, and they say, I'm so far away from that while I'm teaching my 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid. How does that affect me? Because I can see why high school junior, senior teacher will do it, but someone who's teaching 8, 9-year-olds, how are they preparing for readiness?
Okay. The most important thing that we can think about, especially in this first year, is to get our teachers to understand coherence. That there is, if I'm teaching 3rd grade, now, you gotta separate